I once read a quote that efficiency is nothing but intelligent laziness. Perfect, because I'm both intelligent and lazy. So it's time to find some efficient running backs for 2022 fantasy football.
Yeah. Analytics off the chain, other channels not the same. Jake and Kyle, you know the name. Headliner Nation, we running the game. I'm a headliner.
What is going on, Headline Nation? Jake, Fantasy Headliners. Hopefully everybody's doing well out there. Today we're talking about the most efficient running backs in 2022 fantasy football. But just a couple days ago, we talked about the most explosive running backs in fantasy football for 2022. But what happens when we take the most explosive running backs and the most efficient running backs and we marry them together?
Boy, that escalated quickly. I mean, that really got out of hand fast.
It jumped up a notch.
It did, didn't it?
I mean, come on, good things are going to happen to your roster here in 2022. Now, two things before we get into the content. First thing, a like goal. These videos lately have been straight bangers as of late, right? Because you guys are telling us that by smashing the like button. Kyle's video yesterday had over 1,100 likes in 24 hours. Insane. Can we do the same thing? Can I get the same treatment on this video? 1,000 likes, and I'll give away 2 draft guides to 2 random commenters down below in the comment section. So hit that like button and leave that comment down below. And secondly, fellas, it's summertime. It's hot. I understand it. It's super hot here. It's humid. You guys still got to do yard work. I was driving through the neighborhood the other day. The neighbor's out there pushing his lawnmower with no shirt on. Dude out there looking like Cousin It, right? Let me tell you something, fellas. Head over to manscaped.com. Use code word headliners at checkout. Get 20% off and free shipping. But you can use that lawnmower anywhere. The only thing I'm going to preface that statement with is this. If you've used it in your nether regions, don't use it on your face. That's just weird. However, get yourself a lawnmower to take care of everything, fella. Don't nobody want to see you pushing a lawnmower in your front yard looking like that. I mean, come on, fellas. Help us out a little bit. Manscaped.com, link down below. Make sure you get yourself your discount here before it's too late. But now, let's head into the important metrics that we're going to be talking about here. Today, we're going to kick it off with goal line carries per game. But why are goal line carries per game important? Come on, fellas. We know why. We're a bunch of dudes. We like TDs, right? TDs score points. Give me those 4 or 6 points per touchdown. How about fantasy points per opportunity? How many points are they scoring with every opportunity they get? Yards per touch, yards created per touch, and breakaway run percentage. Now, I'm going to take each one of these categories, and we're going to compare all the running backs in these categories against each other to see how it turns out. Now, maybe you aren't familiar with a few of these important metrics and what they mean. Now, goal line carries per game, pretty obvious, right? Average goal line carries on a per game basis. Fantasy points per opportunity. That's how many fantasy points were scored per opportunity. An opportunity is a carry or a target. Yards per touch. Average yards gained per touch. Yards created per touch. Average additional yards gained per touch after an evaded tackle, right? They're able to evade the tackle and make more yards happen. And then breakaway run percentage, the percent of carries that result in a gain of 15 yards or more, right? If we're not getting as many touches, we want our touches that we do get to be pretty efficient and really rack up some yardage. Now, I could have gone with the top 10, the top 15, the top 20, top 25, top 30. No, your boy took care of the community once again and went through the top 37 running backs. And here are all the names that are going to be included in each of these metrics. Now, we're going to start it off with goal line carries per game. And as long as you watched some football last year, you remember James Conner scored himself some TDs, finishing number 1 in this category with almost 1 goal line carry per game. But what's crazy to me, number 2 on this list is Darrell Williams at 0.82 goal line carries per game. These two share a backfield now in Arizona. So what that tells me, probably going to have some split goal line touches, right? May not be racking up the touchdowns for James Conner here in 2022. Some of that TD upside he had earlier in the offseason, he may not have as much of this year because of them adding Darrell Williams. Joe Mixon, we know the Bengals Bengals out there scoring a lot of touchdowns, getting a lot of goal line opportunities, almost one per game, followed by Damian Harris, Ezekiel Elliott, still the goal line guy. You got Josh Jacobs and Leonard Fournette. Does Fournette see more work now that Gronk has retired? Again, potentially, right? Leonard Fournette could be in for a huge season once again. Austin Eckler, a little bit strange, right? You don't think of Austin Eckler as a goal line guy, but he's finishing inside the top 10, top 12 here in this metric. As you look through the remainder of the list, are there any names that really stand out to you? Honestly, me, full disclosure, we know Nick Chubb didn't score a lot of touchdowns last year. I love Nick Chubb. We'll continue to beat that drum because the guy is a great fantasy running back. Is he overly sexy? No. But when you draft him, you know what you're going to get. But for him to only have 0.36 goal line carries per game, if we have no Deshaun Watson again, that number may not change. It may stay pretty close to that once again here this year. Aaron Jones's number could go up this season, but with A.J. Dillon in the mix, he could take some of those as well. Does Ramondre Stevenson hurt some of the value of Damian Harris this year? Just a couple guys to pay attention to. Now, let's go down to fantasy points per opportunity. Remember, this includes carries and targets, and this should not be a surprise to you. Number one in this category is Austin Eckler. He's basically been at the top of this category since he was the San Diego Chargers backfield mate of Melvin Gordon. This guy screams efficiency every single year, mostly because it was his pass catching work, right? But now all of a sudden the guy's getting the goal line carries, which we already saw. He's just getting a lot more opportunities to run the ball, and he's taking advantage of them, right? 1.15 fantasy points per opportunity, great number. Anything one or higher, great number. James Conner, once again, that was helped out by what? That's right, by touchdowns last year, so that number could decrease. Cordero Patterson and his role in Atlanta. Kareem Hunt at 1.05. How is Kareem Hunt utilized in this offense if there is no Deshaun Watson? Nyheim Hines, his coach has already come out and said, hey, if I were to play fantasy football, I would draft Nyheim Hines this year. Is that just off-season coach speak? Potentially, but Nyheim Hines, when he gets touches, puts up points. Is he going to get the touches with Jonathan Taylor in that backfield, though? That is the question. Darrell Williams, Jonathan Taylor right here at 0.97, tied with Leonard Fournette and Aaron Jones. All these guys hovering right around 1 point per opportunity. Man, those are the guys that we can scream efficiency at. Now, some surprises here. How about Alvin Kamara being down at 0.76? Not a horrible number, right? I mean, we're talking about 0.2 fantasy points. Come on, Jake. But really, when you compare him to others in the same metric, I would have expected him to be a little bit higher. Same goes for Najee Harris. The thing with Najee, we know he needs volume. We know he needs 300 plus touches to put up those huge numbers. That's great for fantasy, not great for efficiency, though. How about yards per touch? Now, Rashad Penny is making a run here, fellas. I don't know what to tell you about Rashad Penny. Full disclosure here, I am not a huge Rashad Penny fan. But after doing the explosive running back video and now doing the efficiency video, Rashad Penny needs a lot more damn attention in this community for sure. Now, is he like a must-have to start every single week? Man, if I can draft Rashad Penny and have him just sitting on my bench to see what happens first, because I still like myself some Kenneth Walker, but the potential for Rashad Penny is huge, finishing number one in this category, 6.4 yards per touch. Him, Tony Pollard, and Nyheim Hines, all plus 6 yards per touch, followed by Jonathan Taylor, Christian McCaffrey, Nick Chubb, a lot of guys that you would expect to be at the top of this category. Some guys that maybe you don't expect to be up here, Chase Edmonds, but remember, his situation is different. We had a commenter on the explosive video, or maybe it was a different video, talking about how Chase Edmonds finished higher in the explosive metrics. That's cool and all. Different situation here this year for him in Miami. Plus, he's sharing a backfield with 13 running backs, basically. You still have over there Raheem Mostert, Myles Gaskin, Salvin Ahmed, Jared Dokes. Now, sure, I understand all those guys aren't going to get touches, but it's just a different situation, so we got to kind of tread lightly with Chase Edmonds. Austin Eckler, no surprise. Hunt, Sanders, Darrell Williams. Once again, Darrell Williams finding his way at the top of these lists a lot, followed by Aaron Jones, Michael Carter, and Leonard Fournette. Some surprises in this category. How about the bottom 4 names? Good Lord, Alvin Kamara, Derrick Henry, Joe Mixon, Ezekiel Elliott. When it comes to yards per touch, those guys are just falling behind the group here a little bit. Not horrible numbers by any means. Anything over 4 is what you really want. It's not ideal. 5+ is a lot better. 6+ is amazeballs, right? So to see Kamara, Henry, and Mixon at the bottom of this metric, somewhat surprising, but they're also guys that get a lot of volume, and because they get a lot of volume, they have more opportunities to quote-unquote fail, I guess you could say, so it's going to drop their totals overall. How about yards created per touch? Now, remember, this is after an evaded tackle. They made a defender miss. They created these yards per touch. DeAndre Swift can make people miss, for sure. The problem is, can Coach Dan Campbell and the Lions give more touches to DeAndre Swift so he can make more players miss? Because they don't give him a whole lot, right? They didn't last year. They need to this year. Rashad Penny, once again, finishing second overall in this metric at 3.83, just ahead of Jonathan Taylor, Christian McCaffrey, Nick Chubb, and Kareem Hunt. There's some pretty good company to be in, if you ask me, when you're looking at Rashad Penny. Some kind of outliers here in this metric. Derrick Henry, down at 2.46. I understand it wasn't a full season, but Derrick Henry wasn't able to create as many yards last year as maybe we saw him create in years past. Still a great running back. I'm not bashing any of these guys here. Najee Harris at 2.72, Kamara at 2.75, Barkley at 2.8. Just not creating. Some big name guys not creating those additional yardage after making a defender miss. How about breakaway runs? Now, remember, a breakaway run is classified of anything over 15 yards. Rashad Penny at 12.6. So let me paint this picture. On 12.6% of all the carries that Rashad Penny receives, they result in 15 or more yards. Nobody even close to Rashad Penny in this metric. That just shows at the end of the season how explosive he really was and made big things happen when not always getting huge amounts of volume. Same thing with Christian McCaffrey at 9.1. Any of these guys over 6, actually you can probably say maybe over 5%, we're talking about 15 or more yards. This isn't just like a 10-yard gain, 11, 12, which are all great. 15 or more yards, some solid numbers, some disappointing names here. Once again, having Saquon Barkley, a guy who's known for being explosive and having big plays, only did it 3.1% of the time. So if he's not getting ridiculously huge volume, he's not efficient enough to break off the big runs and really help us out. So that's something to pay attention to. How about Najee Harris here again at 3.9, Derrick Henry at 4.1, even Leonard Fournette, not really known for those big plays, right? Other areas of their game help make them valuable. For Derrick Henry, it's touchdowns. For Leonard Fournette, it's pass catching. But as far as running between the tackles, breaking off big ones, they just haven't done it very consistently over the last year. Now, we've taken all these metrics, right? We've taken them all. We've scored them 1 to 37. If they tied in the category, they got their same points, because I know people are going to ask that, right? And then I went through, added up the totals for each category, and just saw who finished at the top. So when I did that, here is our overall top 12, 1 through 12. Number 1 on the list, Rashad Penny. This dude, we'll look at it here in a second, but he finished abnormally high in the explosive metrics as well. So number 1, Rashad Penny, followed by Christian McCaffrey, Kareem Hunt, Nick Chubb, James Conner, Tony Pollard, Aaron Jones, DeAndre Swift, Jonathan Taylor, Darrell Williams, Naheem Hines, and Javonte Williams. Now, here is the overall standings in case you wanted to see 1 through 37. The things that really stand out to me here, Saquon Barkley finished 35th. If I remember right, and I'll check it here in a second, he finished 37th in explosiveness, so that is an issue. You also have Ezekiel Elliott, Alvin Kamara, Najee Harris here in the bottom column, along with Antonio Gibson, David Montgomery, Elijah Mitchell. Remember, these are not bad running backs when it comes to fantasy football. They're just not efficient. They need volume. Now, if they're in an offense that's going to give them the volume, that's okay. Don't forget that. I'm not saying that these guys aren't efficient, so don't draft them. That's not the point of this video. It's trying to determine who doesn't need huge volume. Which of these running backs don't need 20 plus touches to still put up fantasy points? That's what we're trying to establish here. So now let's pull up the top 12 overall once again and see where their current ADP is at. And we see Rashad Penny in the 10th round still. That's going to climb. As we go throughout the offseason, that number is going to increase. We're going to have to try to find a line. At what point are we willing to take that risk? Personally, as of the time of this recording, I don't want Rashad Penny to be anything more than like my running back 3 on my roster. I don't want him to be my number 1 or my number 2. There's too much risk there with injuries and Kenneth Walker on the same roster. But if I can get him as my number 3, number 4, stash him on my bench a couple weeks to see how it plays out, it's a whole nother story. Followed by Christian McCaffrey still in the 1st, Kareem Hunt in the 9th, Nick Chubb in the 2nd, Connor in the 3rd, Pollard in the 8th, Aaron Jones in the 2nd along with DeAndre Swift. We know Jonathan Taylor's kind of the 1.01 right now. Followed by Darrell Williams in the 18th, Naheem Hines in the 13th, and then Javonte in the 2nd. Now, what happens when we look at the top 12 for the most efficient and the top 12 for the most explosive? I tried to draw these little lines in here, but damn if that's not a jumbled mess. But what that is are the guys who finished top 12 on both lists. So let me go ahead and kind of clean this up a little bit. If you want to try to follow the lines, you can. You may have to be like a Rhodes Scholar to figure that out, maybe not. Notable finishes here. So it's the top 5 guys that had the lines drawn above. We have Rashad Penny, finished 1st in efficiency, 6th in explosiveness. Christian McCaffrey, 2nd in efficiency, 3rd in explosiveness. Nick Chubb, 4th in efficiency, 2nd in explosiveness. Tony Pollard, 6th and 5th, and then Jonathan Taylor, 9th and 1st. After that, there was a few other guys, though, that I think, needed to be mentioned. Leonard Fournette finished 13th and 8th, so he was on the verge of being top 10 in both as well. Damian Harris, 14th and 11th, pretty dang close. 3 guys that were not close on either video: Saquon Barkley, Alvin Kamara, and Ezekiel Elliott. Both of them almost finished 30th or lower in every category, except for Alvin Kamara was 29th in efficiency. That's a problem. Right now, when you look at 2022, you can look at those names and be like, all right, are they going to get enough volume to make up for it because they're not explosive and they're not efficient? With Saquon Barkley, I would like to think yes, but the past couple years have told us probably not. Alvin Kamara could see a ton of volume, but also has a pending off-field assault charge that we don't know what's going to happen yet. And Ezekiel Elliott is kind of confusing to me because the guy still finishes a top 10 running back in fantasy football, yet 30th in efficiency, 32nd in explosiveness. So the big plays weren't there, and he needs crazy huge volume. Is that going to happen here in 2022? I think it just might, but that's going to be in a future video. But doing things like this is always fun, right? When you take some of these metrics that a lot of people don't always look at and put them all together, you kind of can paint a picture and really find some of the similarities. Is it just me, or is Rashad Penny shooting up people's draft boards right now because of what we're starting to find here? Please, hopefully his ADP doesn't get so high, because I would like to own a lot of Rashad Penny this year just to see what could happen. Because if he keeps that job and he plays and starts in 14 plus games this year, dude could be a league winner if you're getting him in the 10th. Just something to pay attention to. But do me a favor, if you enjoy this content, hit that like button. Remember, our like goal, 1,000 likes, and then I'll give away 2 random draft guides to 2 different commenters down below in the comment section. Hit that like button. Comment down below. Let me know what was a little bit crazy about these metrics to you. I look forward to talking with you guys down below in the comment section. But for now, hopefully you guys have a great rest of your day, a great week. We'll talk to you later.